All right, welcome everybody to How to Start a Repair Cafe at Your Library. My name is Kate Carney. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for Cook County's Department of Environment and Sustainability, and I'm so happy to be here with Bea from the Evanston Public Library's Robert Crown branch, who is an expert and has already started a repair cafe, and she's going to share information with us all on how we can start them in our own communities, at our libraries, or at our churches, or any great places. Thank you so much, Bea. It's all yours.
Thank you very much, Kate. So welcome and thank you for being here. We're recording this, so you have access to it afterwards. I probably just send it to everybody. I will also be sending the slides, so no pressure at writing things or anything. Wait, just a sec. Wait, why aren't you working? There you go. So my name is Bea Echeverria. I am the founder and organizer of the Evanston Repair Cafe. I started Repair Cafe in Evanston in 2018, just because I thought it was something interesting. And I did it with like no resources and no connections and no sponsors. So if that can be done, it can be done anywhere. I also work on engagement services at the Robert Crown branch in the Evanston Public Library. I am not a librarian. I am a marine biologist by training. So, and I moved from Spain 7 years ago. So bear with me with my accent, or if I get stuck with a word or something, it will come. If you want to reach me, either my City of Evanston email or through LinkedIn, as you wish, whatever works for you. And I'm super happy to answer any questions now and whenever you have them about repair cafes, because I love them. They're really fun, and I think they're an important part of the sustainability ecosystem. Okay. Oh, why is it doing that? Okay. So what is that repair cafe? A repair cafe is really a place where people come to get their stuff fixed, but that's what they come for, and they end up leaving very happy and having learned a lot of things, having made new acquaintances, and oftentimes with their stuff repaired. So you go to a repair cafe thinking that you're going to get something fixed. You leave thinking, wow, my neighbors are amazing. Wow, my community is amazing. Wow, these people have me covered. So I think that's the actual success of this event. It was started by a person called Martine Posma. She was she is an environmental journalist in the Netherlands. And she started this in 2009. And today there's over 2,800 repair cafes in the world. And 200 of those are in the US. So hopefully by the time this conversation ends, there will be the potential of maybe 250. Actually, I think there's more because, for example, what is it? Hudson Valley, all the Hudson Valley area has like 53, but I don't know if they're considered one or how they consider themselves, but there's a lot, and it's growing. The fact that there's like 50 some people sign up for this presentation, I think attests to that. So yes, it's interesting. Okay, so why are repair cafes so interesting? I would say they're good for people that attend because people feel empowered when they leave an event like this. They came in with a broken toaster that they were going to throw away, and now they have seen the insides of their toaster. And after having worked with a repair coach, they're like, oh, I could have done that myself. Probably that was fun, and that was easy, and that made sense. It's also an educational opportunity, both to learn and to teach. A lot of the volunteers have a blast. They love sharing their skills. They love sharing tips and tricks to repair stuff. So it's really a great space to teach, which is very aligned with what we do at libraries, right? It's cost saving, right? You bring again a lamp that you need for your desk, and if it's fixed, you don't need to buy another lamp. So in that sense, it makes a lot of sense. It reduces eco anxiety. Some people might think like, why? Well, the minute you're actually doing something for the environment, you're helping with that little intention to get something repaired instead of like throwing it away. You're giving it another opportunity. In a way, it makes you feel that you're doing something for the planet. So it does really help for mental well-being. It's also an inspiration for innovation and for tinkering and for let's see how we can fix this. You know, that idea of like if you have tape and a paper clip, you can fix this. So this is a little bit the same, but a little bit more evolved. But it really does. I mean, people make really, fun inventions. It's a shift in mindset. I would say particularly for the idea of like planned obsolescence, for example. Why do things break so fast? Why do they make it in such a way that I cannot open it with a regular screwdriver? So it makes you understand how the system works and how we can advocate for this to change in ways like, for example, the right to repair, which is a movement, bipartisan movement about, if you own it, you should be able to repair it. And the idea of like collaborating to problem solve. Today, I just came from our Tuesday Repair Cafe. There were 3 volunteers working on a toaster oven. And we always have that joke, right? How many volunteers do you need to fix a toaster oven? Well, today was 3 because they have a blast and they talk to each other and they, come up with ideas. Okay, why is it good for the community? Same thing, it's community building. You can do it in groups and pairs of like groups of 3. You can do it as an event, like when people come and see all that movement of people in a free event, people helping people, people fixing things together. It really makes you feel that there's a glue. Actually, there's actually a repair event in Chicago called Community Glue. Repair cafes are community glue. They also help increase community resilience. I mean, the idea of everybody being interconnected and everybody needing everybody with regards to sustainability plans and climate action and resilience plan, that makes a lot of sense. You need to know your neighbors. You need to know that they have you covered for certain things. That reciprocity needs to be, the seeds of that reciprocity need to be planted. And I think a repair cafe is a great place for that. It helps the economy, the local economy. And you would say, why? It's free. Well, because if people start having a mentality of repair, if you can't fix it, they might take it to a professional, or they can just think, oh, maybe I don't want to take this to the repair cafe, but if they could fix this item, probably they can fix my KitchenAid, whatever. So I'm going to take that to the store, or my shoes, or my, so it does help. We also buy the parts in local hardware stores. So, I mean, it's tiny, I know, but it's good for the community in that sense. And if it's scalable, right, because it kind of makes sense. Skill sharing, again, we mentioned that. I mean, you can also have like even a mentoring system with like teenagers or middle school kids and like the actual repair coaches to help the kids learn. So it's really a space for particularly seniors to give back, to share the skills that they've accumulated throughout a life. And it's a celebration of craftsmanship. You can see sometimes people bring wooden items or things, or heirlooms or textiles that belong to their family, and seeing how those are repaired and how much care is taken, how much skill is also something really beautiful to see. So in that sense, it's really good. And then how is it good for the planet? Well, I think it's quite obvious, right? Waste reduction, the promotion of sustainability in your community. And as your library, you can leverage a repair cafe as your library is starting or continuing to be green. It reduces the carbon footprint of particularly of the people that bring the stuff, but also of the community. And again, awareness and advocacy, we start talking about these things and seeing that it's systemic, right? The need for those regulations, the need for more repair shops, the need for more repair spaces, the need for community connection, then we're starting to really tap into something that goes beyond our library and our, little tiny events. Okay, so now that I get you all hyped up, what would you need like to start a repair cafe? What would be the first things I would do, or some of the things that I did when I started? I would say the first thing is, since you're all librarians or work at a library, check out this book. If you're really planning on doing this, buy it. I bought it secondhand online, so buy the book. It's really, really fun to read. It's very interesting. It touches a lot of the details, and it's very adapted to the American. It's written by a couple of people from the United States, so it's really adapted to their United States. Whereas when you enter the second step, the repaircafe.org, it has its section for like UK or the US, but it also tackles like the global market, global repair cafe scene. So there are some things that might not be as relevant. But again, the book is interesting. It's very inspirational. It gives you a lot of nice examples. It also talks about like how to fix certain things. So it's like a little manual, how to start it, how to set up, what type of volunteers you need. It's super practical. And I think it's something worth taking a look at. The second thing I would do is, again, visit repaircafe.org. And with that QR code, you can access that the website. If not, just go to repaircafe.org/en in English. If not, you're going to read it in Dutch. And there's a section that says start your own. You can, or you don't have to, but it's you can pay, I think it's 49 euros or $49, and they send you like their guide. Just a heads up, if you want to be called Repair Cafe, you should, out of like respect for this organization, at least use their logo and kind of their standards. If not, you can be called whatever you want and still hold repair events, repair clinics, whatever you want to call them. I see more and more people starting to, us ourselves, we're a repair clinic initially. And then later, especially when they changed their logo, because their previous logo was really horrible and I did not like it. So I'm like, I don't want to use this logo. But then they changed it to this one. I'm like, okay, I like the logo. So again, that's kind of silly, but it really is like that. So they do have a lot of, their how to start guide is really good. It gives you like ideas for press releases, how to find volunteers, templates for things, for the repair ticket, for how to how to promote it, how to like house rules. It's really good. So I would recommend that you use that. And the third idea, it would be, if you're in Illinois, is to come and visit us. Come and visit one of the repair cafes that are in Illinois. The ones I know about are in Oak Park, Evanston, Community Glue. Again, they're not a repair cafe, but they're a repair event. They're in Edgewater in Chicago. Repair Cafe Chicago. Wilmette is doing it through Go Green, Illinois, I think it is. And Schaumburg, Wilmette and Schaumburg, I don't know if they have regular events, but I would just type something like Repair Cafe Illinois, or just, I'm sure there's more happening. There might be more informal, but come and bring your own repair. Like if you afterwards, like you can email me and I can sign you up for our next event, which is October 14th. I won't be here because I'm from Spain and I'm going back to Spain to visit family, but the event is going on. So you can either come and visit or bring something to fix, sign up and see how it works and get a taste of it. Okay, I think we have, most slots are open because we also, so this time would be a good time if that's something that you would be interested in. Okay, so now that you have these, let's say you already read everything and you're like, super, yes, I want to do this, but you work at a library. So it's not like you can do it at your church, which you might have, it might be a little bit more informal, like the way to go. At a library, we need stuff, right? We need insurance, we need approvals, we need waivers. So that is the first thing that I would say you have to have in order. Insurance is usually not a problem at a library because most of our events are covered, right? Approvals, personally, I did not need more than just my supervisor's approval. I've read that sometimes it needs a board approval. We'll talk about ways to get buy-in later, but just tackle that first, right? And then a liability waiver, I'm providing an example, but that's something that would probably have to go through your library lawyers. I mean, when I started, I did it at smaller venues and I didn't even have a waiver. I mean, it was me and another volunteer. We were like, okay, let's see. I mean, I don't even know how to write a waiver. So and I know a lot of repair cafes don't have waivers, but I think in libraries that's something you're going to need. So if you're thinking about doing this at the library, that's something that for sure you're going to need. What else? Next thing, you're going to need volunteers, right? We'll talk a little bit about that later. As a library, it should be easier because we have all those channels to reach out to our communities, right? We might have a volunteer coordinator. It shouldn't be that hard. The way I started, I went to a senior center. I figured, who knows how to fix stuff? Well, that's in my mind, that's in my culture, it's the elders. So I went to a senior center. I asked to post a flyer, and that's where I started. And then it was really a lot of word to mouth. Today, I would recommend that for sure, like paper, if you want to reach certain people. And some people are still using bulletin bulletin boards, and I love them, and I think they're super necessary. So don't forget about those, but then it can be through your Facebook page, Instagram, a newsletter. I would recommend, if you're going to go big, I would make like a Google form to see, like, asking what would you want to volunteer, what's your expertise, because you might get flooded and you might not want that. So I mean, again, I can help with fine tuning that if you have specific questions, but I mean, it's pretty common sense. How many volunteers would I start with? I would say at least 2 for each category. We'll talk about the categories later. And that doesn't mean that they all, I mean, you only have 2. It might be 2 that are rotating, or, always have 1 as a floater. Again, there's many ways of defining that. Again, volunteers, immediately talk to them. How often do you want to have this happen? Most repair cafes go on once per month on a Saturday, always on the same Saturday, second, third, fourth Saturday of the month, whatever works for you and for your library. That's usually the best time for most people, but again, that depends on your community. Also in the morning, here at Robert Crown at the Evans Public Library, we also have 2 Tuesday events. We did that, first of all, because the volunteers really like coming to the event. Second, because they're a little bit longer. The time slots we provide are an hour long instead of 45 minutes. And also because one of them coincides with food pantry day. So people that are coming in to pick up some food might want to come in and fix their stuff. It's like a 2-in-1, so they don't have to come twice. Okay, next, find the right space and setup. Again, we have libraries, we have space. It doesn't have to look beautiful. It can be crowded, it can be cramped, it's fine. The only thing that I would say is, if you have like a brand new maker space, do you want to bring bikes in? Right? So things like that. If you have, just make sure that you just, know that it might get a little bit messy with like crumbs from toasters or pieces of cable. So bear that in mind. Setup, that's something that you will kind of define as you go, or if you visit other spaces, or if you will looking at pictures online. If you type repair cafe pictures, you'll see a ton. And you'll see there's always like a lot of people and a lot of chaos, and that's kind of like the fun of it. Okay, third thing I would think about is paperwork and basic needs. Again, waiver, have the waiver ready, run it through whoever has to be run. And the waiver usually includes the fact if people want their pictures taken. That's something that in libraries, it's very important. And then basic needs, by basic needs, I mean, like, what items am I going to have available for volunteers, right? Is it, I'm going to provide the tools, which is not the normal way to go. But for example, am I going to provide a sewing machine? That's helpful because people don't have to maybe bring their own, and it's a more delicate item. So I would say that tables, chairs, name badge, name tags, kind of those things that you can always anticipate in an event, that you're going to have, somebody helping another person, or volunteers helping patrons. Your usual setup, maybe crowd control poles. In our case, since we do it at the Crown lobby, we sometimes need those crowd control poles because there might be other events happening at the same time, or just kids going to the ice rink. So we need that. Again, the tables, snacks, treats. We'll talk about it later in like how to go about snacks and treats, but that's something that just have that in mind. And finally, you choose a date and promote. The promotion, again, we're libraries. We have this huge network of promotional outlets, but others, in other spaces, or maybe a smaller library, or if you know that your library is not reaching certain groups, that's something that you also want to think about. We are always doing everything digital, right? And there's a lot of people that still need or are accustomed to a paper. Other communities are all about texting, right? So we have to think about those things, who we want to reach, how we are going to reach them. And I'll explain a little bit more about flyers, what to add to the flyers, what not. But again, this is trial and error. I hope your library is accommodating in the sense that it's not a initial huge success with the first event that it can build up. But I think the beauty of repair cafes is that each is very unique, and that is good in the sense that you adapt it to your community's personality, but it also kind of can be a little bit scary because you need to, play it by ear. Okay, so fine tuning your repair cafe. I basically gave you like the basics, you know, how to overarching idea or like a big concept idea of how to go about it. Now I'm gonna focus on repair, coffee, and community. So I just thought like these three groups would help you get a little bit more of an insight. And it's also fun. I mean, this is really kind of like an anecdotal type of presentation that you're going to hear a lot of like anecdotes and fun things about repair cafes. And because I cannot really explain the nitty gritty of every single thing, right? But again, I'm available for any questions whenever you need me. Okay, so I'm going to talk about these three areas, and I'm going to show you some pictures because it's always fun. Okay, so repairs. What are the basic offerings? Basic offerings that I see in most repair events is general repair, which is usually small appliances, and sometimes also like wood pieces, chairs, small wooden pieces, gluing. Some people have a gluing section for like cookery and I don't know, mugs and porcelain figures. So those two are very typical. Sewing and mending, of course, is very typical. Bikes, if you have a bike person, that's great. Also, jewelry repair is also interesting. If that person can solder, that's wonderful. If they can't, that's perfectly fine. And electronics. Electronics is like a big one that everybody wants. We personally don't do phones or computers because the line would be endless, right? And there's people get really, you know, one thing is to fix a toaster, another thing is to fix somebody's phone that they need for work, right? Those are two very different things. So I'm sure there are repair cafes that tackle that, but I would say this isn't a space where you want people to learn how to fix things, right? That's the whole point, that they learn how to fix things. You're working together. So if you're fixing their phone, they're usually not working with you. They just want you to do a good job. So again, electronics, I mean printers, I mean the electronic component of something as simple as a bread maker breaking machine, a scale. So all those things have electronic components besides electrical components. So the electronics person would diagnose or repair those items. We'll talk about other ideas, other type of repair categories. For example, we now have a tool sharpening person. We have a sock darning person, because you adapt to your volunteers. People say, oh, I know how to darn socks. Oh, do you know how to do something else? No, I just darn socks. And you're like, okay, then we'll have a sock darner. Perfect. And no, and that's, I mean, the volunteers are as essential as the event itself. And I mean taking care of them and making them feel special and making them feel essential, not only because they are essential, but because we want to build community. We want to support mental health. We want to support the well-being of our community. And these people are the pillars, right, in many aspects of our community. So taking care of them, if they want to just darn socks, then they're just darning socks. I'm not going to pressure you to do anything else. What else? We have a book and paper conservation person. So they only diagnose, they don't really fix things unless it's like super simple, but they can tell you where to take that picture that you need to have restored or how to go about this book. So again, there's a ton, like there's libraries that have super specific repairs available. Stocks and tools, again, that changes a lot from one library to the other. Most libraries don't have a stock, and if they do, they're going to use something, they charge the person, like, okay, I need to change your, like, the wire and the socket, then it's $5. Okay, then they pay $5. How we do it is we ask people to either go out and buy it right there and then, because the hardware store is not that far away, or they just sign up for the next event with the spare parts, because some of them have to be ordered online. Tools, volunteers bring their own tools. And I've never had anybody complain about that or say, oh, I don't want to join this event because I have to bring my own tools. So everybody's happy about that. Again, sewing machine, they are grateful if you have one or two available, because bringing that is usually heavy. But some people want to bring their own because they're used to it and they prefer that. What do we provide? Like the needles or things that are fungible, that they're consumables, then we provide those. So anything that the volunteers might need to make their tools work that are spendable, then those we purchase. What else is important? Safety first. Here in the US, it's not mandatory, but in the UK, it's mandatory to test and certify every item, outgoing item on a repair cafe to make sure that it works properly with regards to voltage. I think I'm not really good at electrical. I don't understand how that works, but those items need to be well, I guess, insulated and make sure that they can leave the premises. So that's something that we don't do here, but our volunteers are very mindful of making sure that everything leaves in a way that is safe for the person to use, and also to make sure that we tell the person when we cannot fix something and they're using it and it's putting their safety at risk, we tell them. And I'll give you a clear example. We had a gentleman bring a couple of electric blankets that were really, really dangerous, a hazard to use. We did not fix them, and we told them we really, actually what we, from that, we created a waiver saying that the person brought that we told them that they shouldn't use it. So they signed it to give us, like if he ever has a problem with that if he did bring them, but we refused to fix it. So you can always refuse to fix things or to tackle things, either because they're hazardous or because they're dirty. Sometimes things are dirty. You don't want to touch them. It's also safety for your safety. So a lot of people bring like vacuum cleaners and they're dirty. It's not only because it's not nice to put your hand in there, it's because you don't know what has been vacuumed with that. So either they do tackle that outside and bring it in, but that should not be something in the air for everybody to breathe. Okay. Is everything in need of repair? What does this mean? It means that sometimes people bring things, we just put in the connected to the power outlet and it works. And it's because the person didn't know that there was that underneath, there was that little switch, or maybe it's their socket, their power outage that is a outlet that is not working at home, or they don't know that there's that little button, right, that you have to click in order for it to work. Or they don't know that, there's this lever that they had to move. So sometimes it's really teaching people that things work with batteries and those batteries need to be changed. That happens more often than you would think. So yeah, we are miracle workers sometimes in that, boom, suddenly we just change the batteries and people are like, oh, how did you fix it? And you're like, no, I just changed the batteries. So that happens more often than you would think. But so be it. People leave with a fixed item. And they now know how to use it. So that's perfect. So that's also part of the Repair Cafe, teaching people how to use their own items. And then the idea of beyond repair, some things are beyond repair. And when something is beyond repair, people are grateful that you told them. Rarely do people say, oh, I need a second opinion and take it somewhere else. Usually it's not the case. What that means also is that you have to ideally provide recycling options. That doesn't mean you keep the stuff and fix it, and recycle it, but you let them know where that item can be repaired. Recycled if there's a possibility for that item to be recycled. Okay, and then here what I don't know why I put this picture here, but anyway, so you have the library waiver up there. Just you can scan it, and that's the one we use here. Also the setup that we were talking about before. This is how we are set up here in the Crown branch. I have it like this because we share a building with Parks and Rec, and I need to send them like in advance how we want the setup. They never have it like this, but that's okay. At least I tried. But that's how we have it. Why? Always realize that you're gonna need power outlets for both sewing and general repair. Usually those are the two that need and electronics, of course. So be mindful of that. You might need extension cords or just to have those tables close to the wall. As much light as possible, wherever you are going to do this, as much light as possible. And then the house rules, I put them here for the item. It does state that if an item is not safe for us to touch, or it's not hygienic, then that we wouldn't do it. So those are house rules. I think I have a QR code later so you can scan it, but also you write house rules Repair Cafe and you'll find a ton. And also in that how-to guide from repaircafe.org, they give you an example of how to go about it. Okay, so tables. Here I gave you, there's an example of some tables. There always needs to be a welcome table, right? That makes sense. This is our welcome table, the one you see here. So this is the Crown Lobby. That's the library right there. And that's the sewing station. Here would be the electronics and electrical station. And behind me is the bike person. And then here, that little table would be the jewelry person. This is like a minimum, let's say, skeleton crew. And then the welcome table, this is very important. Welcome table, you need to have waivers, you need to have the information, you need to have flyers, you need to have house rules, you need to have a person always, because if not, people just bypass the table and just go straight to whatever table they think they can be in. And you really want them to at least have that waiver filled. And you want them to understand the rules, like this is your allotted time. Maybe you came in late. So instead of from 10 to 10:45, it's 10:30. So you're going to have 15 minutes. I'm sorry, but you didn't come at your time. So it's important that there's always someone there that also directs the person to the right table, because each volunteer, or you can kind of know who's almost done. So that welcome table needs to be also kind of like a barrier. See that it's here, it's like right in the middle, because if not, again, people just like, oh, I'm just bringing, and it makes sense, and that's wonderful and beautiful that they feel so welcome, but you need to have a little bit of control. So there's if you get the book, or when you check out the book, you'll see that they give you like a ton of different types of volunteers that you can have. At our library, we only have one person plus the repair coaches. So that sometimes makes that person, which is usually me, have a little bit of trouble. And they have like greeters, registration team, waiting list monitors, repair coaches, volunteer coordinators, setup and pack up crew, refreshment captain, photographer, waste management consultant. I mean, yeah, kudos to you. You can get all those volunteers. I couldn't do it. But so the person that's in the table is kind of like running around everywhere, but it's fun and you get your steps in. So, okay. So here's an example of an electrical, the electrical, that would be our general repair or small appliances table. Signage is important. Okay, so people know where to go, and also it looks kind of nice, and it gives you a sense of like well set up event. You could find those in the repaircafe.org. I think they have like the template to do that with a little logo underneath. Here's an idea. See what I told you, that they're busy. So most of the time they're like this, So here's a sewing table with a kid learning how to sew. Remember, this is an event where people come to work and be mentored by volunteers, by repair coaches. They don't come to sit back and see how you're doing it, or either leave and leave you the item. No. They're here to learn and to have fun and to enjoy and to feel proud of their own repair. Okay, here's, for example, a bike station. Ideally, your volunteer would have a bike stand. What we did is we partnered with a local repair shop, and they would lend us one of their mechanics. So that's something you could consider, but a lot of people in the community have basic bike repair skills. And again, setting boundaries on what you are and you're not fixing is important. For example, a bike, you are not going to do very sophisticated technical stuff, because then you're taking business away from a business, right? So you're doing the basics, like we're putting lubricant on your tank, or cleaning it, we're inflating your tires, we're like adjusting your seats and like tightening your brakes. But we are not, I don't know, I cannot tell you any names of other things, but like we don't change the derailleurs or whatever. We don't do those things. Same with sewing. We here at the Rubber Crown one, we do not fix zippers. Why? Because it takes forever. It's a very labor intensive thing. And it's also something that, again, we're taking business away from businesses. So we do basic mending, and we do basic, like we just teach people how to fix their stuff. So if they have a hole in their pocket, or if they have a rip in their pants, so we help them make a patch that looks really cute, and visible mending. But again, we don't do alterations, because then we're taking business away from businesses, right? I would say with general repair, like small appliances, we basically do everything because people don't bring like super high-end anything. Those things, I guess, they would take to the, to the supplier. But I would say general repair, we fix almost anything. Electronics is whatever we can fix. Sometimes it's a matter of expertise. Sometimes it's a matter of like the right tools, because a lot of these devices need their own tool, which is an issue. And what else? Yeah, I think most of the things are like that. But again, sometimes making sure that people understand the scope of the boundaries of our repairs. Here are other tables that I wanted to show you. I think they're really fun, like a coffee table. That's amazing. I cannot do that at our library because we cannot accept like homemade food or food donations. So I just give bagged snacks for volunteers. I don't even feed the participants because I don't have the budget, and the space where we have the event is so big that I would just have people come in and just grab food, that they don't even come to the event. So it's your space, your crowd, your library. So if you can do this, like a coffee table like this one, I want to attend your event, because I think a lot of repair cafes feed like pizza and food, actual food, to their volunteers, and then hot beverages and hot like nice treats and cookies and homemade stuff to participants while they wait. Okay, this is another thing I didn't mention, but I could talk to you if that's something interesting. A lot of cafes have walk-ins only, and others have registration and walk-ins, right? Both have their own advantages. In our case, we do registration and walk-ins. We use Sign Up Genius. There are other softwares or apps, but that's the one I use because it's free and it's easy for me. But again, a lot of them are just walk-ins, which then kind of makes sense that you have a coffee table, because people are waiting for maybe an hour, right? So you have to kind of make them feel welcome. That also, the resource table, us being library in the libraries, right? That would make sense to have a table with books about repair. And some libraries have a do-it-yourself table. So you go there and you fix your own stuff, and maybe somebody can like they have a mentor or like one person for one table and helping whoever's there, like to open the stuff and to fix it. So some people want to really, really, really work on things themselves. Okay. The kids take it apart table. So things that sometimes might, like a toaster, somebody might have left a toaster and it's not dangerous or anything. So they put it on the kids take it apart table. They're usually monitored by an adult. I think you can see the adult here, and in this one the adult is right to the left of the kid, but yeah, there would have to be somebody showing them, but that's really fun for them to open it, and they feel like engineers, and that's fun. And then specialized tables. See, this is what I told you before, the logo, like the repair cafe template. In this case, this person does eyeglasses and watches. Hey, this is a good one. We get a lot of people that want those things fixed, and we can't because we don't have the tools or the expertise. So again, very specialized. And maybe this person doesn't have people coming in every day. Always advise your volunteers to bring their own stuff to work on, right? If maybe there are no patrons, no participants coming, or people just don't show up, that happens. If it's raining or if it's snowing or if it's just a beautiful day. So participation, like a lot of people don't come, regardless of whether they're registered or they were supposed to come as walk-ins, because they either tell you or because you know the numbers. So that happens. And then here's an outdoor repair cafe. If you can do that, wonderful. Of course, shade for volunteers. They're going to stay there for a long time. And outlets, you need electricity. And in this case, if you notice, I say with non-compliant signage. When I say non-compliant, I mean with regards to repaircafe.org, if you want to follow those guidelines. So these people have like a green thing. That's fine. I did that for a while. Nobody will come and say anything to you. But if you want to follow the Repair Cafe thingy, that's not the way to go. What else? Okay, community. So effective communication. Okay, I don't know if I should talk about this first. Yeah, effective communication. How do you promote an event that people might have heard of, but are not super clear, right? That's my flyer. After many years, that's the flyer I came up with. What does it include? on the top, there's who's organizing. In my case, I'm co-sponsored with Citizens Greener Evanston. So I have both sponsors here, some pictures because, pictures help people understand what this is about. The idea of seeing that fixed cardboard, like the cardstock, is helpful. So people understand that they're going to get something fixed, and making sure that people understand that they're going to come and get help repairing your items for free. So get help doesn't mean we're going to fix them for you while you are gone. It means you're going to get help. And sometimes I make it come co-repair, but sometimes the word co-repair, some people don't really grasp it. So it depends. I sometimes change it. The idea for free, of course, right? That's revolutionary, right? Nothing is free. Well, this is. Libraries do things for free because they're really paid with your tax money. But even repair cafes are free, even if they're not paid with tax money. So this is a free event. I explain when we're doing the events and what we do at each event, because if not, I would get people bringing things on the wrong. So this is from the beginning, they can see it on the flyer. And then in my case, I use QR codes. That works for a lot of people. If people prefer to call, they can call. If people prefer to find us online, they can find us online. And make sure, see that it says to find dates and register, and also walk-ins welcome. So I try to put like a lot of information, and even our address, because I cannot take for granted that people know where we're at, even though we've been here for a while. This works for me. In this case, this is a half pager, and on the other side, I have reasons why a repair cafe is good. It's good for your city sustainability plan. It's good because it builds community. It's good because it saves you money. It's good because you make friends. I don't remember what I have, and then I have my email in the middle because I don't think it's here. Yeah. So that's my flyer. Again, you can do whatever works, but this works for me. What else? The not a drop-off service. That's very important. And I want you to look at the picture at the bottom and tell me who's actually fixing and who's visiting, right? It's kind of, yeah, we know, but that's what we want. We want people to be super engaged. We want tools to be on both sides of the table. We want hands on the item, right? Some things you can do that, like, for example, in this case, I guess this lady fixes shoes. So in that case, maybe you can help, you can hammer, or you can clean the leather. In knife sharpening, that's harder, right? You don't want people sharpening their own tools. So in that case, some people just sit and watch. Some people ask the person how that's done, and that's perfectly fine. A lot of times people, and that ties in with the special participants, a lot of times you have like elder people who are not willing or able to help or to be very active in their repairs. Sometimes you have special participants in the form of people that might be dealing with any sort of mental health issue that might make it for them very difficult to interact with volunteers. That's perfectly fine. And it's your job as like maybe the person or it's the job of the greeter to kind of like read people as they come in and never pressure anybody, right? I think it comes really natural when you see that. We have a particular patron that doesn't even come into the room and doesn't want to sign up online and doesn't want to be approached or touched, but wants his things fixed, right? So then you kind of understand, that you're there for him too, right? And you just grab the item and have it fixed, and then he just comes back. It's fine, but I think he's the only person that we allow that case. If we had other people like him, we would too. We don't allow people just come in and say, oh, I'll be back. No, you're not running to the library. You're not going. No, you're sitting here and you're working with us. Again, some people might sit back and watch, but if I mean, I have the excuse of being from another country. So if I see somebody looking at their phone, I just approach them and say, hi, you know what? You're here to learn, not to look at your phone what this person is helping you, because you know what? They're volunteers. They're not being paid. So can you please, at least show some interest in the repair? I've had people not like my comment, but then I don't want them to come back. Because it's really, we're not here to make you save money and take advantage of us or take advantage of a free service. We want you to celebrate your community and we want you to learn something. And if you don't want to learn, bring your kid. Maybe your kid wants to learn, or just pay for the service. That also happens when people try to bring 2 items and have them repair at the same time. No, because you cannot be in 2 places at the same time. So if you want to bring 2 items, okay, yeah, thank you. So if you have to bring 2 items, let it be in the same category. So general repair or sewing, because if the person can help you one after the other, but that's something that the person that's a greeter has to be a little bit assertive and has to be able to set the boundaries really clearly. Or maybe, again, at the beginning, you can just let it happen as it happens, and people bring like 25 sweaters, 3 toasters, and I don't know, and 2 books, and you're like, okay, let's see what we can do, right? We'll see. Again, you learn as you go. I'm also putting down there the house rules. That's the QR code for our house rules. I just kind of, you'll see many of the things that I mentioned are there. And this is kind of like the nasty stuff, like don't bring dirty clothes. We only take one thing. No, but it's the things that then people complain if you haven't told them prior. So this has to be, I don't like them, but they have to be in place. And special requests, that's really sometimes the repair is too complicated, and some volunteers might be willing to take the repair home. You don't encourage that, but if they want to do that, they do that. I would recommend that you are the bridge between the volunteer and the participant with regards to communication. So the volunteer takes it home, but if they want to communicate with the participant, you're in the middle, because if not, you're, promoting that maybe the participant might keep harassing or like emailing the volunteer. If the volunteer is a professional, like they have their own workshop or their own business, and this is what they do in their business, then yeah, let them, work it out. And then maybe they become a client and provider, right? So that's another option. And again, I think this is the last slide. Yes. So this is like, I wanted to give you like selling points. If you have to bring this to your board or to your supervisor. So why would we want to start a repair cafe in our library? Okay, they're becoming very popular. Again, there's like 56 people sign up for this event. That doesn't mean we're all here, but a lot of people I'm sure will like watch it later. Or the fact that there's so many people interested and you see it popping up in many places makes libraries kind of be, interested, because, let's be a little bit, innovative. It's also a way of making libraries like that third space, right? So libraries is a community hub. We're not only, and you know better than me, you're all librarians, I'm not, like, we don't only do books, right? And here at Crown, we see that very much so, because we're part of a community center. So we have that kind of permeability of like the community coming in for things that are not just grabbing books or studying or using computers, right? Something that I love is that the repair cafes are mentioned in the Center for the Future of Libraries Sharing Economy Trend in the ALA website. So if you go to the Center of the Future of Libraries, there's a ton of like what's coming, what's trending. Sharing economy is one of the things, and repair cafes are mentioned because it's true. It's trending, it's happening. The sharing economy not only is happening, but we as libraries are, I think we should promote it, because it's one of the solutions for all the issues that are happening, right? It's a very low cost program. I would say I only spend money on treats. That's like snacks. That's all I buy. If you can request donations, if your library allows that, use that money to, well, in our case, for example, we have to give it to, to the library. But if they allow you to kind of have it as petty cash, have it for snacks or for small pieces or whatever. But it's a really low cost program. It promotes skill sharing and learning, which is things that we do at libraries, right? We promote those things. Introduces the library to different communities. Not everybody knows that the library does things that are not just like loan books and DVDs, right? So this is a very attractive program because it saves money. So even if it's just for that, there's people that just come because you're going to fix things for free. You're welcome. Yeah. It's part of many city sustainability plans. Like, for example, in Evanston, the Climate Action and Resilience Plan mentions repair cafes. And for the city, if there's a connection between the library and the city, it is a way of promoting the reduction of waste hauling expenses, right? And then with regards to troubleshooting, I want to leave some time, a few minutes for questions. And I can extend it a little bit longer if anybody wants to stay. Volunteer recruitment, that's something that you'll build up a base. Skill diversity, you might get 5 people that know how to sew and nobody that knows how to fix the lamp. I haven't have that. I have the typical males do electrical and electronic, females assigned at birth do sewing. I hope you have a younger base in your library that has a little bit, different skills. Reaching participants, we've mentioned that a little bit, make sure that you reach participants in the way that they want to be reached and that you reach them in different communities. And in my case, since I speak Spanish, it's very easy. The flyer that I showed you in English, I have it in Spanish. So every time I see somebody they're speaking Spanish, I just like jump at them. Hey, hablamos español. Si usted necesita ayuda. So I, make it very easy for them to come in. And 2 or 3 of our volunteers are Spanish speakers. Then the idea of walk-ins versus registrations, that's something that you will make the decision when you start and might change along the way. And then managing disagreements sometimes among especially like volunteers, like different ways of approaching things or ways of, you might have that, but if you've managed or if you've handled volunteers, that happens. And if not, just maybe ask your volunteer coordinator how you go about it in these circumstances. To me, it's like communication, trying to find common ground. And I've had one volunteer never come back because we had to, it was a person that was a little bit rude to other volunteers and to participants. And when we told them, they were upset and never came back. And I'm super sorry to see her go, but it's a free service, but it's a service nonetheless. And it's a service also for your volunteers. So you have to have positive attitudes and a good, environment. And that's it. I don't know if you have any questions in the chat or, and if you want to reach me, there's all 3 ways of reaching me.
Yeah, we didn't have any questions in the chat so far, but if anybody wants to unmute and ask a question or write down Bea's email address, she's very, very open to helping. This is something that we've talked about at length, and so I know that she's very passionate about and wants to have repair cafes everywhere, all over Cook County and beyond. So, yeah. Oh, we got a new message. Oh, thank you. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. I'm still not seeing any questions. We will send out the recording and also the slides for everyone participating. But if you have questions, we're here for you.
Thank you.
Oh, look at that. It was a great presentation. I learned a lot about this, and this is something I'm already interested in. So
that's great. Yeah, I hope it was relatively ordered. Like my mind, it's all like mixed, so it's hard to put like the different layers in the right place.
So we do have a question about having a list of tools. Is that something that you have kind of more in general, or is that really by like what volunteers you have, what types of repairs you're doing?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, in the book, there's like list of tools. I've never used any. I led that to the volunteers. They usually know what people are going to bring. Again, I think in the United States, #1 thing is lamps. In Europe, it's coffee makers. So assume lamps, toasters, vacuum cleaners, very general tools. The good thing about having a registration system, for example, when sign up, is that you can ask the participant what they're bringing and the make and model. So then you know what tools you might need. So if they say, oh, this got detached and it's metal, you're going to need a soldering tool, right? So, yeah.
Liz, I'm very happy to see this. Liz mentioned that they didn't think that it was possible at their library until this moment. So
and reach out. I'm super, it's possible. It's fun. It's chaotic, but people are always in very high spirits in the repair cafes, everybody. So even if it doesn't really work, it's fine. And if you don't fix anything, I can assure you, people don't care. They are grateful that you just told them that their item is beyond repair and that they can toss it and buy a new one. Because they're really doing this more because of a principle. Most of the people are doing this because they believe it's important, not because they want to save $20 on a toaster or whatever, you know. So yeah, it's fun.
So do you also have was there some resources that you were able to share for recruiting volunteers? I know that you mentioned making sure to use both our digital and also bulletin boards and having those like physical informational flyers.
Yeah, I would say I know the Wilmette Repair Cafe, which I think is accessible through their Go Green Wilmette website, has a volunteer form.
Oh,
that you can, because I looked at it to see if that's something that I would consider. I've never had to do any formal or intentional outreach for volunteers. They either came word to mouth. People that come to the event always tell them, oh, would you like to volunteer? Oh, my husband's today I had a lady, oh, my husband is a woodworker. I'm like, oh, would he want to volunteer? Oh, well, he's not a people person. I'm like, that's okay. He isn't either. You know? So, I mean, try to find volunteers wherever. And a lot of people just, this is eye-opening to them. They're like, oh my God, I want to do this. This is so fun. Or my father would love this. So yeah. But I can find those resources. If somebody needs those and is worried to start this because of that, I'll find the resources for you.
Yeah. So, and if I recall, you said that when you were starting your repair cafe, you started out with flyers at the senior center, right? Because that's where you kind of made that connection culturally, where who knows how to do these things. And then from there, it seems like it's been a lot of word of mouth and just kind of snowballed into more volunteers or new as people come and go, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you also, again, if you're doing registration, you dimension your event for the number of volunteers that are going to come, right? So if you know 3 volunteers of general repair are coming, what I do is I open 2 slots and have a floater in case there's walk-ins, right? If you're only having 1 volunteer, only open 1 slot. If you're, and that means every 45 minutes. In my case, I do it 45 minutes on Saturdays, a whole hour on Tuesdays.
Okay.
So then in our case, it's like 4 slots per volunteer. That means you're going to potentially help 4 people per volunteer.
That's great. Okay. Yeah, and I just want to reiterate, you are putting yourself out there to be a resource. So if anybody has follow-up questions or those more intricate questions specifically to their process, that you are willing to be that resource. So thank you for that. All right. Do we have any final questions before we wrap things up? I think I got it all from all of the questions from the chat. All right. Well, thank you very much for letting me be a part of this with you. This has been an amazing resource. I am going to put this information also on the county's Green Guide Library. So it's another outlet for people to find this information. And thank you again for having me be a part of this. Do you have any final words for us?
No, I'm just grateful that you guys stayed all the way. And again, I really appreciate the opportunity to doing this. I really appreciate that it was, sent out to so many people and that they will have access through your Green Library and also through, I'll just send it to whoever registered. But yeah, anything, I'm here to help because this is really fun. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Bea. Thank you all for joining us, and I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.